Heartbeat Alaska is brought to you in part by Coca-Cola.
Can't beat the real thing. By Cook Inlet Region Incorporated, an Alaska Native corporation promoting economic and social progress for people throughout the state. By the generous support of the Alaska Native Health Board. Welcome to Heartbeat Alaska. I'm Jeannie Green. Military documents made public on May 2nd revealed that Air Force scientists in the 1950s gave Alaskan natives small doses of radioactive iodine. Involved were 102 Alaska Native men and women. It was part of a project to test the thyroid gland in cold weather. The report also revealed that at the height of the Cold War, it was used to discover how to improve military performance in the Arctic. Some Alaska natives said they were not aware they were taking radioactive capsules. The natives were between the ages of 16 and 80. 47 were from Wainwright, 20 were from Anaktuvuk Pass, 12 from Point Lay, 11 from Arctic Village, 6 from Fort Yukon, and 6 from Point Hope. Dr. Rodal, who led the study, denied that Alaska natives were given radioactive drugs as part of the study. However, the report clearly indicates that indeed Alaska natives were given radioactive drugs. Jessie Kalayak, mayor of the North Slope Borough, said last week in a press release, "Once again, Native people have been used as unknowing guinea pigs in scientific experiments. I am distressed that this is just one more blow to the trust that should exist between my people and the federal government. With each new announcement of their contamination of our land, people, and animals, our unease grows as we wonder what the next revelation will show." This past week, a conference was held here in Anchorage called Workshop on Arctic Contamination. It was geared to find out data and health risks on Arctic contamination. Some of the natives that attended said they did not trust the federal government, especially after incidents like the 1962 burial of nuclear waste at Point Hope. Heartbeat Alaska once again brings you that story from the North Slope Borough. Tina Corwin reports.
For years, the people in Point Hope have expressed concern about a contaminated dump site outside of the village, but have been told by the federal government that the dumping of radioactive waste never happened. So they continued their subsistence activities at Cape Thompson, since this has been a traditional hunting site for the village. The people of Point Hope believe that this contamination is to blame for the increase of cancer deaths in their community. A series of meetings have been held in Point Hope as federal, state, and borough officials attempted to find answers to the villagers' questions. In one of these meetings held on September 19, several elders and community officials spoke about their concerns and experiences at Cape Thompson.
We're just finding out what has been hid from us as a people. Our land looks good from the top when you look at it. And that's what hurts me too when I look at it, because of what has been hid in that land. Our animals of any size dig into the land. Mice dig in, other animals dig in, and they bring out things. And I'd like to talk about our fish, our good fish, the trout, the favorite of many people. When they leave our rivers, they come up to Point Hope, and then they return back to our rivers again. And we find that many of them have sores on, and we wondered from what? From what? But now we know that what has been hidden in our land must be to blame.
Hurt me because of the loss of my mom and dad both, and my relatives, and many others in the village of Point Hope and Kivalina. Maybe if we know, if they let us know at that time, we would stay out of it, and more lives would have been saved today. Those people would have been alive today, I reckon.
The villagers have demanded that the federal government clean up the site as soon as possible. Officials, including Senator Frank Murkowski, Governor Wally Hickel, North Slope Borough Mayor Jessley Collette Sr., and Northwest Arctic Borough Mayor Charles Green, have all agreed to work together to get the fastest possible response to the village. North Slope Borough Mayor Jessley Collette Sr. stated that, quote, "We have spent many years questioning the assurances of the federal government that they have not deliberately contaminated the Arctic. Our worst fears have now been realized. They have been less than truthful with us. It is our people and animals that suffer," end of quote.
We'll have more news on the North Slope Borough following a report on hepatitis A right after these messages.
If you have news or information from your village or community, please call Heartbeat Alaska, area code 907-563-3507, or fax 907-563-7079.
Federal, state, and Native leaders have formed a partnership to pump at least $50 million into rural Alaska. Since February, an epidemic of hepatitis A has claimed 4 lives.
More and more of these kinds of stories started coming up, and of course we've seen some of those in the papers, like the situation in Kotlik, where 80 people gets viral meningitis, which due to overflow of some sewage from some underground pits. And for people who don't understand, I mean, I guess the best way I can explain this to people in the urban settings is to use an analogy. I mean, it's like, with these kinds of situations, it's very much like going out in the street and playing Russian roulette. I mean, each day that a person in these villages with these atrocious sanitation conditions take a drink of water or have to dispose of their own sewage, they're putting a gun to their head, and you don't know when the bullet's going to go off. Mm-hmm. And when you can feel that every single day, and to think that your child is going to face that, you don't know if you're going to get sick from hepatitis A, viral meningitis, impetigo, or simply die because you don't have the treatment, because we don't have doctors in the villages. It's a scary situation. Mm-hmm.
Well, hepatitis A is spread by oral fecal contamination. Hepatitis B is spread by blood, close personal contact, and sexual contact. And hepatitis B is a more serious virus because some people, especially children, maybe get chronic hepatitis and later in life develop liver cancer or cirrhosis. Hepatitis A, once you get hepatitis A and you recover, you'll never get it again and you won't get chronic hepatitis.
What can village leaders do?
Well, the virus is very hardy and survives outside of the body in water supplies for up to a year or longer. It survives freezing, so it's very difficult to get rid of. It also will survive in food for long periods of time. The way it's transmitted is by contaminated stool or onyx or feces. And what happens is that when a person goes to the bathroom, if they don't wash their hands very carefully, they can have virus on their hands, and then they can prepare food and contaminate food. They can contaminate water supplies if they touch water supply, or they can shake hands with somebody and pass the virus to that other person through their hand, and if they accidentally put their finger in their mouth after they've shaken hands with somebody that has hepatitis A that didn't wash their hands after going to the bathroom, they could theoretically get it that way. The way to get rid of it is to wash your hands very, very well every time you go to the bathroom with lots of soap and water.
John Sander, Commissioner of Alaska's Department of Environmental Conservation, says that the government's goals are similar to Canada's 10 years ago to ensure that no new housing in rural Alaska are built without sewage tanks and water reservoirs. We hope that does happen. Stay tuned now for more news from the North Slope Borough with Tina Corwin.
Spring has arrived on the North Slope, and with it comes the Inupiat tradition of whaling. Crews have been out on the ice since about mid-March. In recent years, the whaling crews have been joined by census teams who work to determine population of the bowhead whale. This census data is critical to the efforts of subsistence whalers to negotiate their quota of strikes with the International Whaling Commission, or IWC. The census is conducted by the Wildlife Management Department of the North Slope Borough, under contract with the National Marine Mammal Laboratory of the National Marine Fisheries Service. The first attempt at a census was made in 1976. Another was conducted in 1977. The scientists reported that the results from both years represented preliminary figures. However, based on that population estimate, as well as the number of strikes reported by the subsistence whalers, the IWC imposed a complete ban on bowhead whale hunting in 1978. Subsequent negotiations between the United States government and the International Whaling Commission led to a small harvest quota and a commitment to a more substantial research effort to learn the true population of the bowhead. Census work has proceeded almost continuously since that early agreement, with methods of obtaining data becoming more sophisticated and accurate with each passing year. This year's census is especially critical since ice conditions did not allow for the census to be taken last year. Next year, the IWC will be reviewing the harvest quota allocated to Alaska whalers. Census data from this year's count will be vital to the quota allotment process. There are a total of 30 people participating in the census work, with counts being done both visually and acoustically, with microphones lowered into the water. The visual and acoustic data are merged and then studied by statisticians who obtain an estimate of bowhead population size. The population estimate has grown from a low in 1976 of 796 whales to the most recent estimate of 7,500 whales based on the 1988 census. The first whale was spotted this year on April 17 by census workers, although a whale was spotted by seal hunters on April 10th. A total of 241 whales were counted between April 17 and the 25th. Census workers also include 3 visiting scientists who work with Dr. Mike Philo of the borough's Wildlife Management Department. They will collect measurements and blood and tissue samples on whales that are landed. Stay tuned to future Heartbeat programs for more complete information on the 1993 whaling season on the North Slope. In other North Slope news, the new senior assisted living facility is scheduled to open sometime this month as a wing of the Senior Citizen Center. This facility is not a skilled nursing facility, but one that can offer seniors 24 hours of supervised care. Another center scheduled to open soon is a group home for troubled teens. This new facility is almost complete, and we will be bringing you complete reports on both the new senior facility and the group home in future reports on North Slope News. Until then, have a safe spring hunting season and enjoy the sunlight and the good weather. Kuyanak.
Thank you, Tina, and thank you, Mark Olson, producer of North Slope Borough News from Barrow. From the Arctic now we travel to southwestern Alaska to Russian Mission. For thousands of years, natives have harvested their vegetables from the tundra in the form of roots and greens. Dick Green and Sue Adams hope to add to the salad bowl by sharing their 25 years of gardening expertise.
How many trays we got on top?
4.
How many
Residents
pockets
in
each
Russian
one?
Mission and Chothpaluk in southwestern Alaska
No.
are
How
eating
many
fresh
little pockets
broccoli
is there?
and lettuce
There's
these
6 in
days
each little one.
because of a grant Dick Green received to teach them how to plant, harvest, and market produce.
Look at the size of that lettuce. We're going to have a salad this week.
Len Fabish and Steve Hackett, teachers at Russian Mission, offered their assistance. They made the garden project part of their teaching curriculum, giving the students hands-on experience in growing vegetables. The project turned into a 30-day opportunity to use their education in science, math, biology, record keeping, and building a greenhouse.
Well, yeah, but you got to go slow. Don't go fast and push extremely hard.
Dick Green is in Russian Mission right now checking out the gardeners. Don't go away. We'll be right back with more news from Heartbeat, Alaska right after these messages. Stay tuned. There's more coming up on Heartbeats Alaska. Yes, indeed. Happy Mother's Day. As a special tribute to our mothers and to our Native sisters across the North, we bring you some past Northern lives on some very special Native women. The late Jenny Bainter was one of these. Some folks think of Alaska as a land that God forgot. But we who know the Northland know that he has not. The beauty of his handiwork is there for all to see. The biggest blessing of it all, he gives it to us free. Good evening. Welcome to Northern Lives. I'm with Jenny Bainter, poet, songwriter, and Alaskan extraordinaire.
Kodiak was different. At the time when I was growing up, it was a real homey place.
Jenny Bainter was born in Cordova on January 1st, 1905. She grew up in Kodiak, though, and considers Kodiak her home. She now lives in the Pioneer Home in Anchorage. She still recalls life as it was 80-plus years ago.
Nobody suffered for anything. We helped each other. There was only, about 500 people there, I guess. And then nobody went hungry. We all had potato gardens, and we helped each other. There was a bay right in front. The fish would be swimming around, and then people would go out. We had to carry boxes with handles on both sides and carry the fish up to the gardens. And then the bigger people would fix up the beds and put the kelp in there for fertilizer.
Before the 1700s, the Aleuts had no contact with Western culture. Then came the Russians. Jenny's memories reflect that influence.
I don't know how much Aleut I am. I just don't know, but I do know. See, Dad had one sister, and she was one of the women that was captured from the Aleutian Island, and she left a sister for part of family there.
One of 11 children, Jenny is the only survivor. She said of all her siblings, she was the sickliest. Today, though, at 87, she is still going strong, occasionally speaking Russian with visitors and writing her poetry.
Some folks think of Alaska as a land that God forgot, but we who know the Northland know that he has not. The beauty of his handiwork is there for all to see. The biggest blessing of it all, he gives it to us for free. There's absolutely nothing, no, nothing anywhere that with God's handiwork could ever compare. We'll just keep on praising him for his loving care, his concern and goodness for his folks everywhere.
Jenny Bainter was a very talented Aleut woman. She passed away shortly after we did that story on her. We feel very fortunate to get it. Ollie St. Germaine is another very talented woman. She spreads sunshine wherever she goes.
In springtime is the one I really get homesick for Point Hope, because that's when the snow starts to melt, and after that they're whaling, And that's excitement for everybody, because when they start getting ready to go out, the captain always buy a bag of hard candy, and that was a sweet day. We wait for that day until they start getting ready.
During the day, Olivia works at Tahita, an organization that sells native crafts. She also has formed a dance group with her family. And though she's a very busy woman, there are some things that Anchorage still just cannot offer.
Going on 3 years. I went to Barrow last year to my sister, Kathleen, and visit her and have some fresh muktak and fall kale. And that was good. That's what you get hungry for. When you're down here, you miss that freshly caught whale meat and muktak.
As a special note of interest, I was named after Ollie's mother. Her Eskimo name is Apayok, and so is mine. Now, a special tribute to all you mothers across the north. Here's a very popular Greenland Rock. We've aired this video from time to time over Northern Lives. This is the first time it's ever gone over Heartbeat, Alaska. We hope you enjoyed it. Now we go to Barrow once again with Elise Patkotak.
There are a lot of things in life I don't understand. For instance, I don't know how physicists can be sure that particles exist that they've never seen. And I don't guess that in my lifetime I'll ever truly understand the concept of near beer. I mean, what's the point? But there are other things that I don't understand that most people take for granted and never question. Then I start to think maybe I'm just odd. Take the whole concept of shoes, for instance. Why, when the general size and shape of a foot is clearly evident to anyone who's ever clipped their toenails, are shoes made that come to a point? Aside from intense pain for the wearer, what is the purpose? When I first came to Barrow, I discovered mucklucks. To me, they represent the perfect shoe. For starts, they are made to fit your foot. Your foot is not expected to squiggle and squirm until it fits the shoe. They are soft, warm, and pliable. They are beautiful works of art and practical daily wear rolled into one fine package. I was an advocate of sensible shoes long before the basic sports shoe became de rigueur attire for all yuppie wannabes. I could never understand the concept of squeezing your foot into high-heeled shoes that forced your toes into unnatural mating positions. I also only have a limited understanding of why anyone needs more than 4 pieces of footwear. You have your everyday tenny, your heavy winter lovelies, your break-up hip-high rubbers, and your almost city shoe for trips outside. If you buy each of these items in a relatively neutral color, they can be made to accommodate just about any occasion. At least that's how it works with my wardrobe. It should probably be noted, though, that my wardrobe has 3 colors: blue, black, and gray. I'll add brown as soon as I can find at least 1 pair of brown pants. I can remember back to the days when I lived in a place where real shoes were pretty much a daily requirement. If they had any heel on them at all, they hurt. In fact, I was not at all surprised that Imelda Marcos needed all those shoes. It was the only way she could guarantee having a pair to wear that didn't hurt. It's like I said at the beginning, there are some things in life I'll just never understand.
I had the pleasure of meeting Elise Patkotak the other week, and she's just like that in real life. She's a great lady. Thank you for joining me for Heartbeat Alaska, Native News across the North. Happy Mother's Day, Mom. See you next week.
Whale